Muted.
Good morning, everybody. This is Cheryl Garcia, and welcome to Session 2 of Camp Business Solutions, making calls and inviting to the B2B event. And also, we're going to go over some small business tips. So your camp trainers today are Mindy Rogers. She's our B2B certification trainer and field trainer. And also we have Doris Roch, who is also a field trainer. So just want to go over quickly what the purpose of our camp sessions are is for best practices. We have 30 minutes of training, and then at the end we have some Q&A. We have developed this as a sequence of training, so each week we're going to review last week, then do the training and Q&A. So all of us will be doing different types of training throughout the sessions. So the sequence of the training is, of course, today we're doing making the calls. Now next week we don't have a webinar because we are going to have our breakfast in Lakewood at the Egg and I in Belmar, which is right off Alameda and Wadsworth. And that's specifically for decision makers, so who are HR people that you know, business owners, trucking companies. We go over the benefit, we go over the small business plan for that. Then you can see we go into the decision maker meetings. We have our Oklahoma conference, and then we have the conference tips where we'll be coming back from the conference and going over that. Enrollment samples, talk about retention, benefit fairs, doing employee benefits, and then of course getting ready for the open enrollment season. So last week what we talked about is the employee benefit marketing process, which is develop your list. We all need to make calls, so we're going to go over that today about making calls. Then the decision maker appointment, and then the enrollment with your field trainer, and then also putting retention throughout your process. So next week we're going to ask you for field examples. Well, I'm sorry, next week we have the breakfast, so it'll be the week after that. We want you to bring some successes that have happened out in the field so that we can be learning from each other. So today I want to introduce to you our B2B certification trainer who will be going over about how to make the call. Okay, Mindy, are you there? One moment. All right, so now I would like to introduce Mindy Rogers. And just as an FYI for everybody, I have unmuted everybody, and so if you could mute yourself, that would be fabulous. Okay.
Thank you very much, Cheryl.
Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate being on the call this morning. It's always an exciting time during the summer to you know, not only continue to be making these appointments and meeting with decision makers and doing enrollments, but also getting ready for the bigger open enrollment season too. So just wanted to talk a little bit about making the calls today. And really this needs to be part of a strategic sales process. One of the first things that we need to do is identify customers' needs, and you know, we can do that through many different avenues, whether it's especially in our warm market. We may know some of those needs already with different business owners, HR directors, whether we're networking with them, just visiting with them here and there. But when we do that, we want to present ourselves and our product properly. We're going to go over answering objections intelligently in an ongoing process of that, and then through what you say you will do. This is so important because that's part of our professional image, and then close the sale professionally. Next. All right, so one of the first things that we want to say with that is, I'll give you a call, I'll reach out to you. These are key phrases for doing what you said you were going to do. And we really want to make sure that whenever we say something like that, that we're following through on that. We want to use the words, the purpose of my call, or the reason for my call, versus, you know, when we make a phone call, often we want to fall back into a little bit more friendly of, you know, more kind of a how was your weekend, that kind of thing. But we want to stay on the professional side of the purpose of my call, the reason for my call. And then we really want to think about how this will help them. And then we want to share what we do. Next. All right, so number one, so the reason for my call is that you mentioned an interest in identity theft benefit for you or your employees. And so this is part of, making that call in the first place. This is them coming to you with a need. So maybe you were at a networking event, something like that, and you were visiting with an HR director or a business owner, and you happened to mention about identity theft, and they said, that's really interesting. That might be something that would be good for me or for my employees. This can also be the reason for my call is that you mentioned an interest in helping your employees get their wills done, something along the line of our legal plan too. It doesn't have to just be specifically identity theft. We want to take out of our vocabulary when we're making these calls saying following up. I'm not calling to follow up or follow up on you, but this is really stating this is my reason for the call. This is my purpose for the call. Next. There we go. So the reason for my call is referrals. So this is what would be one of the reasons that I'd be calling someone. So, I've been referred to you by so-and-so. So one of the things, when we're talking about referrals, often a lot of us work with like a chamber or a networking group, somewhere that we're meeting lots of people. So we can say, the reason for my call is we're partnering with the Denver Chamber. We're partnering with the Idaho Springs Chamber. That's one of the chambers that I'm with. And we're partnering with them because the chamber felt like that this would be something that would be really beneficial for our members. That's the reason that I'm calling you today. Or if you're referring to a company that they do not work at, so like the example here, and I think the name is funny, but Dan Beer gave me your name and number. So when you make that call, I'm calling you because this person gave me your name and number, thought that this benefit might be something that would be good for your company. Or you met someone at a networking event. One of your employees recommended that I call you. So, you were talking to somebody, they work somewhere, they said, yeah, this is the person that you should contact at my company. So the reason for my call is one of your employees, so-and-so, recommended that I call you to share this information with you. Next. Great. And number two here, wanted to see if you or your company would be open to, and these are some of the things that are, added benefits to offering our legal and identity theft benefits. These are the things that are good for the company. So I wanted to see if you or your company would be open to lowering your absenteeism. Of course they want to do that. Or reducing your sick leave, or having an increase in production. One of the buzzwords in the HR world right now is presenteeism, and it really has to do with where their employees' mind space is. So I wanted to see if your company would be open to increasing your employees' presenteeism. And so that's one of the things that we can actually help with our benefits. Go ahead and flip to the next one. Number three, so as you're kind of making this call, going through this conversation, it's good next to ask a couple of questions. So do you mind if I ask you one or two questions first, kind of get that buy-in? And when they say yes, of course, you can ask me a couple questions. Pretty simple. How many employees do you currently have? Now, if you're making this call, you probably already know ahead of time, but it's also good information because maybe you were misinformed by an employee about how many people they have at their company, or maybe the information that you got before wasn't right. Maybe they have multiple locations. So it's just good to find out, how many employees you currently have. And then do you mind sharing with me what other voluntary benefits you offer? And then do some listening there. Keep this relatively short because we just really don't want to be on the phone very long with somebody, because our primary objective is setting an appointment. Then just, be very courteous afterwards. After you get a little information, just say thanks, and I appreciate you sharing with me. Moving on to the next point here. Does it make sense to you that we find 20 minutes on each of our schedules to explain how our company can help your company. And so this is really getting that further buy-in and setting that appointment. This is our primary objective behind even making this phone call in the first place, is we do want to be able to sit down for 20 minutes and share a little bit more thoroughly with them. We don't want to go into too much on the phone, so we're asking their permission of does it make sense to you? And as soon as we get that buy-in, what we want to do is pick a date and a time that works for both you and them. So pick a date and time that works for both of us. And so not necessarily along the lines of, well, I'm going to be in your neighborhood, how about Tuesday, Thursday, AM, PM? But let's, now that you see that this might be something good for us to share together, let's pick a date that 20 minutes would work for both of us, and then set that appointment. Next. And so that's one of the ways to make a phone call in order to set up that decision maker appointment, in order to set up that appointment with a business owner. But another thing that we can do in addition to setting up that one-on-one appointment that it would be best for you to use a field trainer with, is we have all of these great events going on right now. So this is an example, and this one is coming up on the 30th. This is a breakfast that's coming up. So this is for business owners or HR decision makers. And so Cheryl is actually going to be the guest speaker presenter at the Egg and I just next week. And so this is something that we really do want to be inviting people to. So when we're making these phone calls, and to more of our warm list or a warm referral into a decision maker or business owner, this is something that we can be inviting them to next week. So just put this on your calendar right now, 8:30, Thursday the 30th next week, specifically for looking at our benefits. Go ahead and flip to the next slide. We'll get into how to invite for this in just a moment. Here we go. So this is how you invite to these events. And I think that this is something that's really important, and it's also something, admittedly, that I need to get better at, because this is a very professional avenue to invite somebody to. People need to have breakfast, people need to have lunch. We also have the luncheons that go on as well. And Doris will mention about when those luncheons are at the end of this presentation today. But we need to be thinking about that we're not disrupting somebody's day, that it can be part of somebody's day, part of somebody's work day. If somebody is working in HR, part of their job is to be looking at new, exciting benefits that they can be offering their employees. And so this is a way that we can actually end up buying them breakfast or buying them lunch while they're being paid on company time as well. So let's get into the invite for this. So calling your warm market decision maker contact. So when you make that call, the script can be as simple as this. Hi, John. John would be the contact of this company. This is Minnie Rogers. I'm a benefits specialist with Legal Shield. You may remember that we met at the leadership conference or networking event or on an airplane, just wherever you actually met them. I know you're busy, so I won't keep you on the phone for very long, but I was wondering what you were doing on June 30th for breakfast that you couldn't get out of. I'd like to invite you to a breakfast that we're doing a quick overview of how we can save your company money and help your employees be less stressed and more productive. And so, when I call up John and John says, well, I'm actually already booked for Thursday morning, that wouldn't really work, then we can actually drive them to a webinar as well. And so if I can't treat you to breakfast on that day, maybe we can carve out 30 to 40 minutes via webinar to go over the same information, and then pick a day and time for that. And so really what we want to do, the most important thing, is get information in front of somebody. Our primary reason for the call is to invite them to that breakfast. That's what we would love to get them at. But if we can't get them to that breakfast, we still want to get that information in front of them. And I'm sure that everybody is familiar with our Express Download site already, but this is the place that you get those webinars. So if you don't already have this resource, please write it down. Bookmark it in your computer right now while you're already on your computer. But connect connect.legalshield.com/EBS. So connect.legalshield.com/EBS. And that's where you would be able to send them information if they're not able to attend next Thursday morning breakfast. And so then after you set up either that they're coming to the breakfast or they're going to be on a webinar, just terrific. Look forward to seeing you. What's your email so that I can send you this invite, or I can send you an invite to the webinar over to you. And then make sure after the webinar that you're going to be following up with them, that you've set that expectation. If they're coming to the breakfast, obviously you're going to be able to answer questions right away for them. But if they're doing the webinar, after the webinar, I'll give you a quick call and answer any questions that you have. And you want that to be pretty immediate afterwards. Go ahead, next. Oh, Cheryl, go ahead. Oh, there we go. Sorry about that. Okay, so so that would be an example of a warm market, warm referral, warm lead-in, warm contact. We can also do this with a cold market and cold calling as well. We're definitely going to have a lot more response if we have a warm lead-in to a company or we do know that decision maker. But sometimes we do need to make some cold calls as well. And so this is a script for doing that cold call. You call a company, "Hi Susan, my name is Mindy Rogers. I'm a benefit specialist with Legal Shield." Starts out pretty much the same way. "I was wondering if you can help me. Who's the decision maker for your employee benefits?" Or you can also say employee perks program, because you really want to get to the right person, because whoever answers the phone may not be the right person. And so when they get you over to that right person, so again, this person's name is John. So, "Hi John, my name is Mindy Rogers. I'm a benefit specialist with Legal Shield. I understand that you're the decision maker for the employee benefits or perks program. Is that right?" Confirm that's right. Terrific. Okay, great. The reason for my call is, and that's the vocabulary that we want to get used to using. The reason for my call is that I help companies across the nation with a benefit that is at no direct cost to your company. However, it'll help your employees be less stressed, more focused, and productive as we help them guard against identity theft and legal issues. So what I wanted to call you about today is Everyone Has to Eat. I'd like to invite you to a breakfast that's happening next week on the 30th. And it's at 8:30 at the Egg and I. Give them the details. And then you can also say, may I pick you up or should we just meet there? For me, since this is a cold call, I'd probably actually rather meet someone there, but it is more likely that they're going to show up if you're picking them up from their place of employment too. Just if you're going to do that, make sure that your car is in presentable fashion. It's been recently cleaned, vacuumed. You have a nice car that you're bringing them, because again, this is part of our professional image. But may I pick you up or should we meet there? And make sure that they have the address. If they're booked that day, again, we can drive them to a webinar date. And just say, okay, I'd like to set up a webinar that we can go over the same information. Make sure you go onto that express download site again and send that to them. So how about this day, this time? Terrific. With your email, I'll send you the webinar invite over to you. And then after that webinar, I'll give you a quick call to answer any questions. Next. And so we also want to be able to utilize the new B2B virtual events. Again, it's on those Express Downloads site. And so, so if we're at a networking event or somewhere else that we bump into, an insurance broker might even be at an enrollment, especially when it becomes more of that open enrollment season. Obviously, the broker is going to be there. So when you make that call, I think it's funny, his name is always John, but John, this is Mindy Rogers. I'm a benefit specialist with Legal Shield. It was a pleasure to meet you at the chamber event last week or at the enrollment that you were having for such and such company. When we spoke to you, mentioned that you're always in search of powerful benefits that can help your clients. I'd like to invite you to a 15-minute virtual video specifically designed for brokers like you. It's an excellent way to be introduced to Legal Shield and help you understand the value that we bring to our members. Here's the virtual video, or if there's a specific time and date that's already preset for that, you want to invite them to that, but you can send just the virtual video. Are you available then? Great. What's your email? I'll send you the link, and then make sure that, again, you're going to follow up. So after the presentation, I'll give you a quick call and answer any questions that you have. This is a really great tool for these insurance professionals because they are busy, and they become more and more busy year-round now. We used to think about just kind of that open enrollment season that they're busy, but because of some of the legislation that's changed recently with how health benefits are being administered, they've become busy year-round. So we want to make this as easy as possible to look at what we can offer and what they can offer without interrupting their busy schedule. Go ahead and flip to the next. All right, so we found basically 3 different ways to set an appointment. You know, whether it's that one-on-one decision maker meeting, whether it's inviting somebody to a breakfast or inviting somebody to a webinar. So big smiley face there for the appointment set. We do want to call after the appointment or enrollment, and this is again not following up when we call. I didn't call to follow up, but I called because the purpose of my call, the reason for my call is, and it's to answer questions, find out if you have any further thoughts, concerns, if anything else came up. Go ahead and flip to the next one. And then that's it for how we want to be making the calls, how we want to be inviting for those 3 different things. I am available by phone call or email, both if there's any further questions. You can feel free to call me at 720-217-9934. It's also available in your back office. This PowerPoint is also available as well, and you can email me or Cheryl for that, for the PowerPoint. But in the meantime, I just want to turn it over to my counterpoint, to my fellow field trainer, Doris Ratch. She is an expert in our small business plans, and especially you know, going out and really sharing this with owners and having them see the value not only in our small business plans but in our Go Small Biz. So Ms. Doris Ratch, I think that you might already be unmuted, so go ahead and take it away.
Great job, Mindy. Thank you very much. Okay, good morning, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes, they can. Go ahead.
Okay,
Oh,
sorry. Can you hear me? I had to unmute and mute again. Sorry. Okay,
yes.
so normally what I start with is not the Go Small Biz, but since the order of the slides is here, this is what we're going to talk about. So many of you might not even know about this resource, and this is not a resource that I focus on, but you need to know that it's there and it's part of your tool. So Go Small Biz is a rider that can be added to a legal plan. It is, let's see, it is $14.95, okay, added to a legal plan, a business legal plan. The point of the Go Small Biz resource is to do some of the things that might cost money if you had the attorneys do it for you, and also to help them with business consultation, because sometimes they'll call the lawyers and they'll be asking business questions that aren't really legal questions. So if they have a lot of business consultation questions, this would be a good thing to bring up. I never bring this up at first when I'm talking to a business owner, unless I know they're going to need some of these resources. So some of the resources is, one, unlimited business consultation. Anything that's not legal, they can ask. So this gives them capabilities to ask HR questions, you know, what kind of phone service should I buy? What's the best CRM I should use? This is a qualified resource of business consultants that can help them with all of those other issues. So as you are speaking to a business owner, if they start asking a lot of questions or telling you that they need things like that, or if they need documents written up, or if they need an HR manual written up. Of course, we have an HR manual now with, I believe, with Legal Shield. But anyway, then and only then would I bring this up. okay? So keep that in mind. There's templates on the Go Small Biz site that will allow them to go in and build a legal document. So if they want to have a lawyer write a legal document for them, it's going to be at a 25% discount. So that's when I would mention Go Small Biz. They can go into the template, they can put in the information, the other person's information, and at the end of that they can print out a legal document. Then they can fax it, then they can send it over to Legal Shield, to the attorneys, to review it, to make sure it says what they need it to say. So like I said, this is another tool that you have. I wouldn't always start with it. I wouldn't focus too much on it, but it's available. The website for this, to show it to them, is www.gosmallbiz.com/Legal Shield. And on that site, you'll notice that it says a 40% savings. This is what we get, is a 40% savings. So I want to make sure you don't do what I was doing at first, and that was I was comparing it to the GoSmallBiz.com website, where the price was $39.90 or $39 or something. It's not exactly the same. There's a little part of that that's missing. So don't go to the Go Small Biz site and say you get this for $14.95. It is not exactly the same. Okay? Keep that in mind. And I believe that last website is no longer available. I went to it this morning and it did not come up. So that's the main thing you need to know about Go Small Biz. 40% savings. The other thing is, if your customer gets it and cancels it, it does not affect your retention. Found that out recently too. So there's customizable letters and forms, HR document builder, all kinds of great tools there that would not be offered through the lawyers through Legal Shield. So keep that in mind. Small business selling tips. This is what you want to focus on. You want to focus on your warm market. Now, if you're a seasoned sales professional, you know how to go out and make your cold calls. We're not going to talk about that, but this is for people that normally would not do that. So if you get a person signed up as a family plan, ask them where they work and ask them if they mind, if you call their business owner and talk to them about the employee benefits, because if they get it as an employee benefit, it'll come right out of their payroll probably, and it might save them a little bit of money. So you can call the employer and you can say one of your employees thought this was a valuable service, so they thought it might be good if I mentioned it to you, and maybe we sat down for a few minutes and talked about it. Also, follow your dollar. I am amazed. The other day I was going through some of my checking account receipts, and I realized that my husband spends a lot of money at a meat market every week because he likes to smoke meat. And I have yet to go down and talk to that business owner about Legal Shield. So those people get a lot of your money. Why shouldn't you be able to at least spend 15 minutes showing them what you do? Now, I don't expect them to buy from me, but I expect them to at least give me a few minutes so that I can show them what I can do for them. So, and if he blows me off, maybe I'll change meat markets. But, at least go down, at least see them. So go through your checking account, look at all the different places you do business, make a list, and go to those places. Your dry cleaner, your insurance person. I mean, even if your insurance agent is a captive agent, they're still a family. They could still use our services. So they at least owe you a few minutes because you spend your money with them. They at least need to see how you're making a living and see what you do. You can also ask your associates, if you bring on associates, your prospects, friends, family members, who they know that own a business. There's a lot of people that own a business, and even if it's a business without any employees, you can still talk to them about the home-based supplement, which is a rider, has to be added to a family or individual legal plan, but it is a $9.95 cost, but it will then protect their home-based business. And even if they don't have a business at home, so even if they have a storefront, it's okay as long as they don't have W-2 employees, as long as they don't have any employees. If it's just them and their family, they can use that business plan for only an additional $9.95. Now, when you're talking to these business owners that if they already have an attorney, don't think to yourself, oh no, forget it, I'm not going to talk about it. Think to yourself or say to them, great, you're a smart business owner. Of course I figured you'd have an attorney. But let me ask you this. Do you call them for everything or only for the very important things? Most of them have an attorney on retainer, or one that they can call at least, and They know they have billable hours when they talk to them. So if you can help them understand that you're not trying to replace their attorney, you're trying to give them an additional resource, an attorney that you can call anytime or that they can call anytime about anything and not have to worry about that hourly cost. A lot of them might have an HR person or an office assistant that Googles things for them and tries to find legal answers so that they don't have to use that attorney. And several times I have actually sold a membership to someone who had an attorney, and then they found out that their attorney was a referral attorney for Legal Shield, and now they can get 25% off from that attorney. So if they have an attorney, it doesn't mean the door is shut. It just means they're smart enough to know that they need an attorney, and this is a great opportunity for them to add a service that will help them. Next part is 10 paper applications unlimited online. What that means is if you do not go to the B2B certification class, you are allowed to sell 10 you are allowed to do 10 paper applications, which means sitting down with a business owner and writing up a paper application and uploading it in for Legal Shield, or signing them up online on your Legal Shield Advantage website without having to take the class. The only reason we do that is because we know some people never want to go out and call on business owners, but they might know some business owners who could use the services that you could just say, hey, go to my website and check this out, and they might end up buying it. That does not mean that you should not take the B2B certification class. Even if you don't want to go out and be a salesman, the B2B certification class is still going to help you be a better Legal Shield associate. It's going to help you understand everything, and it's going to help you when you recruit someone who is going to do that. You'll be able to at least understand what they're going to need to do. So I still recommend the B2B certification class for everyone, but if you do sign up a business owner, you do have this online access and up to 10 paper applications. Okay? Last part on this slide is the needs analysis. www.legalshieldbizplan.com. This is a great site, especially if it is someone that you know. You can actually just make a phone call and ask them a few questions while you're filling out this needs analysis, and then at the end you can email them a quote, basically a proposal as to which plan would best fit them. Okay, so this is a great resource. You could even do it if you're talking to them. You could even print it out and then take it to them and then have another discussion. So make sure you're aware of that website. And there's one other website that's not on there that we should also mention, and that is LegalShieldForSuccess.com. LegalShield, the number 4, success.com. And that is a print-on-demand site where you can go in and you can find all kinds of different brochures and flyers and make them yourself, print them yourself right from there, or you can order them. There's some really nice leave-behind business, little leave-behind postcards that you can purchase from there. But also you can print your own flat sheets, and you can customize them with your information, and then it looks like you're buying them, so don't worry. Just go fill it out like if you're going to purchase them. And when you do the proof and look at the proof, you can file, save them, and then print them. So make sure you're aware of that website. Okay, the next page is what Mindy mentioned again, is connect.legalshield.com/EDS. That's the express download site. There again, all of our forms, flat sheets, PowerPoints, presentations, everything you need. You need to make sure you mark that site. That's a great site, and that's where you'll be able to find everything quickly. The Small Biz Flat Sheet is the only sheet that I use. I don't even use the brochures anymore. I use the Small Biz Flat Sheet. It has all 3 of the plans, the Small Biz 10, 50, and 100, and it's a very simple form. It shows everything that's covered, and it's enough and it's simple, for a business owner to look at. You can go over it with them. Then the Small Biz Application, unless you know the business owner, you're always going to want to take an application in with you, because if they decide they want to get the service, you need to start filling that out for them. You're not going to go tell them to go to your website and let's fill it out on the website. You're going to do a paper app.
Doris, I think we lost you. Are you back, Doris? Okay, so the other thing that we have is Prospect by Legal Shield, and with that tool you can put in information that it's really a campaign for you, and in that campaign it's going to have the small business, why an owner would want a small business. If you do want to Go Small Biz flyer, you do need to order those from the Go Small Biz, which you see the number right there is 580-310-5825 for that. Next week, our camp session, we're not going to have a webinar because we have our breakfast at the Egg and I, which will be starting at 8:30. July 7th, we'll be back to the webinar, and we'll be doing our decision maker meeting. And remember to bring your success stories to the webinar, well, not next week, but in 2 weeks for that. So what are some of the events that are coming up? Well, Wednesday, actually, of next week, which is the 29th, we have a B2B luncheon in Loveland. Now, what I do in Loveland is we do that once a month. So the first part of the presentation is really about the benefits. It's about the small business plan and the CDLP plan. And then if there are people there like an insurance professional or someone that's looking to add this to their book of business, we ask them to stay for a few more minutes, and I have a couple of slides after that show them some of the compensation that they get for that. So that's kind of a mixture. You can bring both of those there. Then Thursday, again, as we saw the example earlier, is that we have the B2B breakfast in Denver. Now, this is a decision maker breakfast, which means who we're going to invite to that are HR directors. It's going to be small business owners. And it's also going to be maybe somebody that has CDLP drivers. For that, because we're going to be talking to the decision maker. And again, this Saturday, there's still time to sign up. Even though you may have already taken the class, you can retake the class. Mindy is an excellent instructor. Maybe somebody on your team is going to be taking the class. If you know that someone is going to take the class, please let Mindy know that they're working on their prerequisites for the class, so that she has a running list of people that will be attending for that. So we want to thank everybody for being on the call. We want to thank our camp trainers today, Mindy Rogers and Doris Ratch, for all of your excellent tips. I think I took 3 pages of notes during that. Whenever you go to a webinar, whenever you go to a presentation, your mindset has to be, what is a nugget I can get from this meeting? What is a nugget I can get from this training? Because we always want to be growing our business. And remember, we always have, corporate has a Monday morning B2B call at 7 a.m. and that's an excellent call. So as an example, on Monday, when I can't think who the presenter was right now, but the trainer, Ken Robach, the trainer, he said he talks about it as an employee perks program versus an employee benefit program when he's calling companies. Sometimes when you call companies and you use the word benefit, a small business owner get the hives because they think they have to pay for it, and they're already paying lots of money for health care benefits. So if you talk about an employee perks program that's at no cost to your company, then that's another way that you can get in. Or, of course, you can say, who's in charge of your identity theft program at your company. So once again, I know Mindy said give her a call, email her. If you want the scripts in this PowerPoint presentation, you can email Mindy or myself. We want to thank everybody for being on the call this morning, and have a great and successful